What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ango Show. Today is September 11th, 2024, and today is a big one. We're going to be talking about WWE NXT last night, a truly incredible episode from Shawn Michaels and the staff and the team out there. Hopefully, you guys are all having a great day. I'm super excited about today's live stream. If you guys are watching live right now on YouTube, do me a favor and smash that like button. It would mean the world to me if you guys would smash that like button. Also, I can't even speak right now. I'm a little flustered. I'm a little excited today. Guys, check out the pinned message in the chat. Don't forget super chats, $5 or more, 500, right? 5.00 or more. They will activate TTS, which is amazing. Your comments and questions will literally get read on the screen, and it's going to be really cool. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Like I said, I'm just really happy today. Today's a good day. Every day is a good day. God is good, my friends. Listen, NXT was awesome. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about AEW Rampage. I want to talk about a potential huge debut for AEW. I want to talk about NXT on the CW. I want to talk about Hammerstone's TNA NXT crossover debut. I want to talk about the Motor City Machine Guns, and we will preview a little bit of Dynamite because today is Wednesday, and you know what that means. So again, if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and drop a super chat. We did get a super chat before the stream started. So let's give a shout out to Blanca Pierre Vincetti. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. It was $1.99. NXT was fantastic last night. NXT is on a roll. And I agree, guys. I really do agree. NXT is truly on a roll. NXT is unpredictable. NXT is fun. NXT is consistent. NXT has good wrestling. NXT has good storylines. NXT is consistently doing all of these things. They're balancing out their roster. It has actually become so enjoyable to watch NXT. And when you add in the element of the TNA NXT crossover, quite honestly, guys, it's really cool to watch. I feel like this partnership has become so awesome to experience, something I would have never imagined in the past. My two favorite brands coming together, putting on these shows, and the crossover continues. It continued last night. It's going to keep continuing. And it sounds like WWE's got some big plans for the CW. And we still got a little bit of time until the launch of CW, but I definitely want to talk about that. Blanca, thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate that so much. Thank you. And guys, again, super chats, $5 or more, TTS. If it's $4.99, it will not activate TTS. Just as a quick reminder, I guess that penny really does make a difference. But we did get a super chat from Phil Batway for $4.99. Phil says, loved NXT, shocked the Bloodline showing up. What do you think the surprise is for CM Punk? Guys, for those who don't know, CM Punk was on Instagram yesterday. He left a comment on Ava and Ava Johnson, the GM, right? CM Punk then calls. Oh my God, this is great stuff. He calls Ava during the episode of NXT. He's got an announcement. He's got an idea. Who the hell knows what it's going to be? But NXT actually announced that CM Punk will be making that announcement next week. So not only is CM Punk going to be on the launch of CW, NXT on CW, but in addition to that, CM Punk will be on next week's NXT making an announcement. Phil, I love the Bloodline showing up. I agree with you. Also, what do I think the surprise is for CM Punk? I have no idea. Literally, I cannot guess what this is going to be, and I'm trying so hard to figure it out. There has been no leaks. There's been nothing. Shawn Michaels has been very good about keeping things not leaked. And look, I have no idea what WWE's plan is. I have no idea what their plan is. I'm hoping that CM Punk actually makes a challenge. I want CM Punk to wrestle on the first episode of NXT on the CW. And I have no idea if that will happen. I don't know if WWE wants that to happen, but the way that I envision it is quite simple. If you have CM Punk wrestle in Chicago on the launch of the CW, and he can go up against anybody in NXT, it doesn't matter. He can win the match or he can lose the match, it doesn't matter. But then you could have Drew McIntyre pull up out of nowhere and beat the hell out of CM Punk to continue that amazing storyline. So that's what I want to see, but what do I think the surprise actually is, or what do I think the announcement actually is? Bro, I have no idea. Literally zero idea. And again, it goes back to what I've been saying about NXT. It's a lot more unpredictable these days. Nobody reported that CM Punk was going to show up next week. Nobody has any idea what the hell is actually happening here. That is so cool. It is so cool that we can watch this show and genuinely be surprised, because everything leaks. You know, you got people like me leaking shit and spoiling shit, and I try not to spoil it, but at the same time too, I think it is actually really dope that we just live in a time where NXT has become not only intriguing, but also to the point where it's like people are actually like happy with the product. So very excited about that. Phil Batway, thank you for the $4.99. Justin Kennington dropped a $4.99 super chat. When do you think the Lucha Bros and Motor City Machine Guns debut in the WWE? Again, keep in mind the super chats have to be $5 or more to trigger TTS. So TTS, it will pop up on the screen. You'll hear a voice, read it. That's how it works. Again, excuse me. So again, Justin Kennington, $4.99 super chat. When do you think the Lucha Bros and Motor City Machine Guns debut in WWE? This is a phenomenal question. I think the Lucha Bros and Motor City Machine Guns in WWE makes a lot of sense. At the same time, too, I genuinely do not know what the hell is happening here. I think it is safer to assume that the Lucha Bros end up showing up in WWE before the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, for those who don't know, AEW on the September 11th episode of Dynamite, they're doing a tag team casino gauntlet match. And, I'm sure Tony Khan's got some surprises. This is what I'm going to say. If the Motor City Machine Guns do not show up in this tag team casino gauntlet match, I genuinely believe they are being saved for WWE. And if I'm the WWE, I would have them debut at NXT on the CW. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a show in Chicago. It's going to have a big amount of people in attendance. The numbers are going to be great. The excitement is there. People are getting amplified for it. CM Punk's going to be there. Julia's going to be competing for the NXT Championship. Trick Williams going for the NXT Championship. They just got so much stuff cooking right now. And I feel like if you're the WWE, you save the Motor City Machine Guns for the CW launch. If you're Tony Khan and you have signed the Motor City Machine Guns all of these months, which we know Tony Khan has the tendency to do this, by the way, don't forget, AEW has the tendency to sign people and not utilize them for months and months and months, and he stays really quiet about it. We saw this just happened with Camille. So Justin, to answer your question, if we don't get the Motor City Machine Guns tonight on Dynamite, I firmly believe they are headed to WWE. Now, keep in mind, previous reports indicated that they would be headed to WWE, but until somebody shows up on TV, you cannot trust every single report. And I think that's one of the interesting things about Motor City Machine Guns is because why did Tony Khan not debut them at All In or All Out? And I think that's one of the big things here that I think people need to understand. All In, All Out would have been perfect for Motor City Machine Guns to join AEW. I do genuinely believe Motor City Machine Guns show up at WWE NXT on the CW. If they're not there tonight, that's where they show up. Now, in regards to the Lucha Bros, we know that there is some stuff with the contracts, and the contracts might not expire until the end of September. It's still early to tell when they could be on their way out. There's no confirmation that they're free agents. That's the one thing that's a little bit different from the MCMG situation. We knew Motor City Machine Guns left TNA, and we knew that they became free agents. We've seen them show up in the indies and talk about how they're pretty much done with the indies. So we know they're showing up somewhere. We just don't know where that place will be. And I think it's a little bit different because with the Lucha Bros, we don't have a genuine idea as to when they will officially be freed from their contract. We don't even know if Tony Khan is going to add time to their contracts. And I think that is one of the things that it's a little bit tricky with AEW, which I don't want to just bash on AEW while we're live, but You know, Tony Khan said he wasn't going to be like the WWE. And then, you know, throughout the last few years, Tony Khan has been known to add time to people's contracts who are injured, which, like, this was a huge thing that people were against with WWE, and people saw WWE do it over and over again. Now we're starting to see flat out with AEW that they do it. But if AEW loses the Lucha Bros and picks up Motor City Machine Guns, that's good. If Tony Khan doesn't get both teams, if he doesn't keep Lucha Bros and he doesn't get Motor City Machine Guns, that's problematic. And I think it's really a sign of what to, you know, let's just call it what it is, guys. The AEW tag team division, the Young Bucks, I mean, everything that they're doing essentially doesn't have heat. It doesn't have any layers to it. It doesn't have any meat on the storyline. And I'm one of those guys. I like my stories to have some meat on the bone. And I feel like with AEW, their tag team division is slipping up. And I'm not going to lie. I feel like WWE's tag team division is slipping up as well. I feel like both companies have great tag team divisions, but the booking and the vision is just simply not there. And that's why I get a little bit frustrated, because with the Motor City Machine Guns, there is a plethora of tag team matches they can have in AEW that would be incredibly exciting. And there's a lot of great tag team matches that they can have on the main roster of WWE that are also incredibly exciting. But at the same time too, I get a little bit frustrated because I see the way those companies are being booked. Now, with that being said, I also think there is a possibility that maybe the Lucha Bros do not team up together as a tag team. I know a lot of people don't believe that to be the case. I think a lot of people believe they will be sticking together, and I would prefer to see them sticking together. But how can you not get excited about a potential singles match between Pentagon and Gunther in the WWE? And how can you not get excited about the idea of the Bloodline having feuds with the Lucha Bros as well as Motor City Machine Guns? I think also one thing that needs to be discussed is whether these guys show up on the main roster or NXT, because that is something that isn't being discussed. I do believe that WWE would put Penta and Rey Fenix in NXT first. I don't think they should. I think they should be on Raw or SmackDown. I think Motor City Machine Guns going to NXT at first would make a lot of sense because they came from TNA, a little bit of a smaller company, where at least Penta and Phoenix are relatively known because of the fact that they were in AEW. But I do think we need to discuss that, right? Like, I think we should be having a conversation as to where WWE places them. I think NXT's tag team division, it's a very, very solid tag team division. I think the problem, though, is that the tag team wrestling in today's climate, all across wrestling, it's not just WWE and AEW. I feel like pretty much everywhere struggles with this issue, which is there is a lack of vision for tag team wrestling. And I think for WWE, it's kind of always been that way. I think for AEW, it's a little bit more frustrating because that was like one of the biggest things that they talked about when they came out as a company. And obviously the Young Bucks exist, and they have Private Party and Top Flight, and they have all these great tag teams. And you could just kind of see consistently throughout time, gradually, it just hasn't been that good. And really it stems from AEW bringing in the trios division, and the trios division is really not that exciting. I feel like that also lacks a vision. So look, I love this question. I hope I could give you guys some more insight on this soon. Justin, I'm going to say this. I think there is nothing guaranteed about them coming to WWE 100%. I do think there is a high possibility that at least one of the two teams are in WWE. But if the Motor City Machine Guns are not at AEW tonight, I think it is safe to say that they did not sign with AEW. And I think it is very weird, by the way, for Tony Khan to be super quiet about these types of things, because right now his company is struggling with viewership. I don't think people ultimately want surprises from AEW. Just keep in mind one thing, guys. This is the one thing you need to remember. Years ago, Tony Khan would be promoting a match 3 weeks in advance. At this time, it is 12:15 on September 11th, 2024, and there have only been 2 matches announced for tonight's Dynamite. So I think that is problematic. This is obviously a company who has a little bit of an issue planning things long term, and I hope they get that fixed. Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. I appreciate that, brother. We did get another super chat from Zachary. Zachary dropped $1.99. He says TNA just needs a new TV deal for better exposure. I do agree. You know, for those who don't know, Invicta FC, which is the MMA company that Anthem owns, Anthem is the company that owns TNA as well. They got him a TV deal on CBS. Okay, so the good news.
Jeff Payton super chatted $5. Just want to say thanks for all your great content. I really enjoy the channel.
Thank you, Jeff Payton, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. First TTS super chat of the stream. Let's go. Woo. All right. Yeah, let's get back to it, Zach. I think TNA, obviously, we got to pay attention to it, right? If Invicta is getting that TV deal with CBS Sports, it would be really cool to see TNA in that spot. It would be really cool to see TNA in that spot. And I think the reality is TNA will probably get a better TV deal. I think WWE being involved helps. I think WWE is helping TNA right now. I think this partnership, especially if they can do long-term stuff, I think it will ultimately help TNA. From my understanding, from people I've spoken to, and I've made a video on this, it's not that TNA isn't looking for a TV deal. They absolutely are. It's just one that makes a lot of sense. And who knows, man? I think I have a strong feeling we're going to be pretty shocked relatively soon. So I guess time will tell. Thank you, Zach, for the $1.99. Andre Benson dropped a $2 super chat. Lucha Bros, I can see them popping up at the Rumble. I think this is a very interesting idea because how would you have them pop up in the Rumble? You know, because they're a tag team. Right now, it's kind of too early to predict, right? But I do think to a certain extent, we have to pay attention to the tag team feuds that they have. Right now, they don't really have any big ones. I think they need to kind of, I mean, technically you could have them both debut in the Rumble as a tag team as separate entrances. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. Like imagine if Penta came out at like, let's say number 2 and then Rey Fenix came out at like number 4. I don't know. It could be kind of a fun surprise. I don't think that would be the way to debut them ideally, but I could see WWE trying something like that. And that wouldn't be a bad idea. Honestly, it would not be a bad idea at all. Andre, thank you for the super chat. Jeff, thank you for that super chat as well. Let's keep it going. Let's talk a little bit about WWE NXT last night. Just overall a great show. The energy is great. The fans love it. But really, I mean, we got to talk about the Bloodline. We got to talk about the Bloodline because they absolutely invaded. They invaded. I did not expect this to happen, but Jacob Fatu, Tonga Loa, and Tama Tonga came out and they beat up Fraxium. They beat up the Street Profits. Street Profits, Fraxium, great tag team stuff. Having the Bloodline come out here, I mean, this is the opening to NXT. Jacob Fatu, Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga. I swear to God, bro, they have aura. And look, I'm a fan of Solo Sikoa, but they got to figure out a way to get these guys away from Solo Sikoa. I genuinely believe this, man. They come out, they're just attacking everybody. They're going crazy. This is like, the reaction's amazing. The people are loving this. You could just tell NXT is so unpredictable, man. They're so unpredictable, and they've done such a good job. And the fact that they were without Solo Sikoa was interesting, but then they upload the digital exclusive, right, online of them leaving the Performance Center, and Tama Tonga goes to the camera, and he says this was order from the Tribal Chief. And I don't know, man. I don't know, like, I love Solo Sikoa, and I don't hate Solo Sikoa being this new Tribal Chief. But I think when it's all said and done, when The Rock and the Bloodline versus Bloodline thing is over, I want to see these three guys together. Like, if there was ever a moment that made me truly believe in these guys, it was last night's episode of NXT. Because, you know, on SmackDown, they go and attack people, and it's cool. But it's the same shit over and over and over again. They come out here, they got the aura, they got the presentation. Just a very, very good way to open up NXT. And this is one of those times where it's like, you know, Axiom, Nathan Frazier, awesome tag team. Street Profits, awesome tag team. But the Street Profits weren't necessarily built up for this match. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we saw what happened with the Rascals being pulled from the triple threat. And obviously, you know, they got pulled from this, from this match, and they won the triple threat, and whatever. It is what it is. I like the way they booked this. Very, very good booking from Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Which actually I should just say Shawn Michaels, because from my understanding, Triple H doesn't really have as much input in NXT. They just kind of oversee the creative vision, I guess. So yeah, dude, this was sick. I don't know. That was a shocker. That was a shocker for sure. Definitely didn't see that coming. Super glad they ran with this. And now it makes me even a little bit more excited for SmackDown, because Street Profits, DIY, Bloodline, they're all on that show. Clearly, WWE is going to have something massive planned. It's the USA Network. Are we going to see Hikuleo maybe debut in the cage match? I don't know, but there's a lot of good stuff that came from that. I wish I could tell you guys that there was things I didn't like about NXT, but I feel like everything was really awesome. One of the things that I also wrote in my notes was Julia and Chelsea Green. I saw on Twitter people were complaining that Chelsea Green got too much offense on Julia. No. This was the right way to do it. Chelsea Green might have the comedy character, but she's been whipping ass in the wrestling ring for a very, very long time. She's willing to take a beating. She gets in there. She's going back and forth with Julia. And it comes down to what I say about WWE all the time. They know how to present stars. Julia is being presented as a huge star. The aura and presentation from the beginning to the end, very incredible. Absolutely love Julia getting the win. I love the fact that Chelsea Green got some offense in there. And I love the fact that Julia actually, she seems to be doing pretty damn well at adjusting to the WWE. Obviously, we got Julia and Roxanne on the CW. That is super exciting to me. I am genuinely excited about that match, because I think people forget how good Roxanne is. And I think her and Julia are going to just kill it. I think they're going to kill it. I see Mike mentioned Funaki in the chat, right? So when we talked about when we talk about NXT and just trying different things, Julia could speak English, by the way, for those who didn't know, but she's not perfect at English. They brought back Funaki, and Funaki is like the translator for Julia. I don't know if this is going to be a thing that they do on TV, but I swear to God, I hope they do. I think it just adds to it. I think managers are cool. I don't think Funaki needs to be with her ringside all the time, but having Funaki involved with their backstage segments, I think it's really cool. It was a nice little touch. Julia's already great in the ring. She's got the aura already down. Promos don't need to be anything crazy, but if you have Funaki with her, I think it's just going to be really sweet to watch. So yeah, I really love that. I love Julia versus Chelsea Green. That was actually a perfect opponent for Julia, because Chelsea Green is not really on NXT all the time anyways. And look, somebody's got to take a loss. Why not have somebody with a little bit of credibility? I thought it was great. Excellent match. Excellent booking. Everything just made sense. Absolutely loved it. Honestly. We had Charlie Dempsey go up against Javon Evans. It was for the Heritage Cup. I've admitted in the past that I'm not the biggest fan of the Heritage Cup. It's cool. It's a cool concept. I like it a little bit, but it's not the thing that I love the most in NXT, right? Javon Evans is incredible. I think he is super awesome to watch. And I love the fact that Tavion Heights was the one to help Charlie Dempsey win. Tavion Heights went to Pro Wrestling Noah. He's kind of been doing his thing in Japan. He had some very impressive wins in Japan. And then for him to come back, I think it's just exciting. Tavion Heights is somebody who I feel like if you weren't paying attention to before, he should be somebody you're paying attention to. The fact that he came back and helped Charlie Dempsey, it makes a lot of sense. And this is a booking that protects Javon Edwards. So in my opinion, as I watch this match, I'm like, okay, how are you going to have Charlie Dempsey win? And how are you going to protect Javon Evans? And that's literally what WWE did. They had Tavion Heights come back. And I think what's really cool about this is that people are now starting to get exposed to how good this guy actually is. The new Quarter Catch Crew Club, Orlando Combat Club. It's an interesting group. I'm excited to see what they do. I have a feeling WWE is not too attached to this group, though. I've been saying Javon Evans this entire time. When did I say Edwards? I botched the other stream and said Edwards. I know that. I'm just going to call him Jay Malachi because that's so much easier. But yeah, no, honestly, like Tavion Heights, great guy. I have a feeling this group is not going to make it out of the Performance Center. I have a very strong feeling that Tavion Heights, I think he's going to be one of those guys that breaks away and does solo stuff. I think he'll be a singles guy. I also think Charlie Dempsey should be on the main roster managed by his father, but who knows? Ren St. Clair, it's kind of interesting that she's in the group, but for some reason this all works. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I thought the booking was good. We got the debut of Hammerstone. We saw Hammerstone was the one that was paid off by Tony D'Angelo. Hammerstone comes out, gets a great reaction. I mean, who would have thought that Jacob Fatu and Hammerstone would both be on an episode of NXT? Just really thrilled with this. Obafemi is not going to lose to anybody, and I feel like Hammerstone looked good, right? But I think this was one of those examples of maybe the partnership hopefully extends, and Hammerstone, we see him a little bit more often in NXT. I would love to see Hammerstone involved more often in NXT because he already did some cool stuff with Obafemi. I feel like the story's not over. I feel like there's more to do, but I just love the fact that that partnership is so strong to the point where they have been able to work together, put on a match like this. Obafemi wins. You know, I don't see anybody beating Obafemi, and that's like the one thing. Like, I don't know if maybe Tony D'Angelo will pay off Omos next. I don't know. But I think if they have him maybe pay off Omos would still lose. And you know, that's the thing. I just feel like Obafemi's been built up as a monster, and who needs Brock Lesnar in WWE when you got Obafemi? So you got Obafemi, call him up to the main roster, let him be that undeniable, brutal ass kicker. Like, just let him go off. Let him do his thing. I feel like he doesn't even need to be in NXT at this point. But I can understand why Hammerstone doesn't walk out with the belt, because ultimately he is part of TNA. Which, by the way, at some point, somebody from TNA should win a championship in NXT. Like, I would love to see that happen, but who knows? I see some people in the chat saying maybe Josh Alexander versus Obafemi. Yeah, but the thing is, Josh Alexander is TNA's top guy. Like, I don't think you would really want to feed him to the North American champion only to lose. That at that point, it's not necessarily beneficial, you know, for TNA. So I don't know how they go about it, but that is something interesting. What else did I love about NXT? Let me check my notes. Oh, Jordan Grace and Sol Ruka. Loved it. I loved exactly what it was. Wendy Chu is doing her thing with Rosemary. I mean, this is becoming something I'm actually enjoying. Love the idea of NXT having a partnership with TNA and then having one of their performers actually like work with the other one. Rosemary and Wendy Chu, they get in the face of Jordan Grace, and this match gets called off, right? And now we got Wendy Chu versus Jordan Grace on Victory Road this Friday. This is exactly what it needed to be. I think Sol Ruka being the one to answer Jordan Grace's challenge is great. I also love the fact that they even had a backstage encounter between Jordan Grace and Julia. Like, holy shit. I don't know what the hell they're planning there, but they planted the seed for Julia and Jordan Grace. Guys, they got something cooking. They got something cooking, and I love this. I love this so much. I feel like Jordan Grace coming into NXT, it's just so natural. It fits. It works. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And I'm gonna be so real with you guys. I don't want it to ever end. Like, this is the good shit. This is the shit that makes people get excited about wrestling. You know, this is the stuff that gets people excited. There's a lot of potential matchups. Women's wrestling. Like, women's wrestling's looking good. You got Jordan Grace leading it for TNA. You got WWE sending their talent over. And here's the thing, like, Jordan Grace is going to go to TNA Victory Road and she'll probably beat Wendy Chu. And that's completely fine. It doesn't hurt WWE. And let's just say miraculously that Wendy Chu beats Jordan Grace. It doesn't hurt TNA. So the cool thing is nobody really loses in this situation. I saw something in the chat. Ringside Rant says, what happens when this partnership ends? Nobody wants to talk about it. I don't think this partnership's going to end. I think they're going to sit there and they'll work together for a very long time. I think WWE, look, WWE wants Jordan Grace. WWE might want Josh Alexander. Do this partnership, help TNA grow. Maybe it puts a little bit of, maybe it hurts AEW just slightly if TNA keeps growing, right? I think this partnership's going to go on for a while. And maybe I'm optimistic. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but I don't really see a circumstance where WWE buys TNA. And I sure as hell don't want them to buy TNA. I also don't want WWE signing all of TNA's wrestlers. But I would love to see them keep working with each other so these wrestlers could be featured on both shows. Just like NXT stars could be featured over there. So I thought that was really cool. I like that. Absolutely love Trick Williams versus Pete Dunne. Last man standing match. Credit given where credit due. Two of the guys, I said this last week. I said, I don't know if I really saw their chemistry. I don't know if I really believed in their chemistry, but these guys are awesome, man. I love it. I love how the match starts off. They're just going after each other. It just seems like it's a real personal feud. And, you know, last man standing matches it's not very often that you get them. They're not as common anymore. So I thought this was cool. I thought NXT from top to bottom was an excellent show. I really did. Trick Williams going after the NXT championship. I think he's going to lead the CW era. But then what really intrigues me is who's going to go after Trick Williams after he beats Ethan Page. And that's really what it comes down to, is NXT on the CW era. So I'm excited about the CW era because I feel like WWE NXT has already been so good, but now they're in a situation where it's like a milestone type of thing. I think when WWE NXT hits the CW, they need to rebrand their show. I think they need to make this first episode feel very different from what we have seen in the past. And then I think you got to have the surprises. And I think one that keeps getting talked about and one that I believe is very well possible, I think it's Ricky Starks. I think Ricky Starks is headed to WWE NXT. And I think, we'll see what happens with Ethan Page and Trick Williams, and we'll see what happens at the, in the world title picture. But if you really want to make waves, I think Ricky Starks debuting on the CW would be massive. We know CM Punk's going to be there. We know Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are going to be there. We know that they have a plethora of names going to be there. We know that Miz TV is going to be there. Man, what if Miz does Miz TV and he introduces Ricky Starks? Like, I think these are things that need to be discussed. I think a lot of things are a possibility, but when I look at Ricky Starks, I do think he has a future in NXT. I think Ricky Starks could be a major player in NXT, and I don't think Ricky Starks will have to be in NXT very long. But you cannot sit here and convince me and tell me that WWE has not done a good job of rebuilding the NXT brand. Transitioning from black and gold to NXT 2.0 to now white and gold era, they've done something marvelous. And now I need to come out and tell you guys that they need to rebrand NXT again. Their viewership is good. Their ratings are good. If I were WWE, I would be seriously fully committed to pushing NXT, move SmackDown to Tuesday nights, move NXT to Wednesday nights on the CW, let them go head to head with Dynamite. Do it. You have built NXT as a strong enough brand that can do it. And for all those tribalist fans who will get super sad about something like this, let me just be really clear. Wrestling War was actually fun to watch. Wednesday Night Wars, watching NXT and Dynamite, You know, if you were a fan choosing between brands, that was like, you took a big L on those Wednesday nights. Because me and all my friends, we had 2 monitors. We had 1 monitor on one side, 1 big ass TV on the other. And we watched AEW and NXT. And that was fun, man. Who cares about the ratings and the viewership? I know a lot of wrestling fans will start grifting on Twitter about that, but I watched both shows and I thought it was enjoyable. And it was fun to actually watch these companies counter program each other. And I feel like NXT 2.0, as much as I loved it, I don't think the brand was strong enough to compete with AEW. But today's version of NXT, 100%. Oh, and by the way, if you're bringing in Ricky Starks, Lucha Bros, Motor City Machine Guns, you're telling me that people won't be intrigued by NXT? Let's not get it twisted, my friends. Let's not get it twisted. Let's make it very, very clear. Let's be perfectly clear about this. NXT is a developmental brand, but with the partnership that they have with TNA and with the names that they have on this brand and some of the people that are in that locker room, Sean Spears, Ethan Page, I mean, guys, there's a ton of veterans back there, right? There's a lot of guys back there that are incredibly talented. They have a sick ass roster. How can you not get excited about the potential possibility of AEW and NXT airing on the same night? And if anything, wrestling fans win because you could pick whichever one you want to watch. But all it's going to do is make AEW and NXT try a lot harder. And look, Ricky Starks is one of those guys. I want to see him in NXT, and I want to see him at the top of the food chain. I want to see him on the CW episode. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be there. But you know what else I think makes a lot of sense? I think AEW has completely... They have completely lost a part of their fan base. I do agree that they lost fans. And I feel like because they lost some fans, they can actually regain some fans by trying a little bit harder to compete. And I feel like AEW not competing with AEW doesn't make them try as hard. I think sometimes they get complacent. I think they get comfortable. I've seen WWE also get comfortable and complacent. And I think the best way to do this is, hey, go head to head on Wednesday nights. Go head to head on Wednesday nights. I think that would be really dope. I think Ricky Starks showing up in WWE NXT would be huge. I think him showing up on the CW era, he would be a perfect person to take the belt off of Ethan Page or Trick Williams. I think right now NXT is kind of struggling to find their main event scene. Their mid-card is so solid. I think their tag team division is solid. I think their women's division is incredible. I think, even their mid-card for the women's division is incredible. But I think the main event scene for the men is just a little bit of an issue. Just slightly an issue. And that's because the show is so well balanced that maybe that's where they take the hit. And that's completely fine. But I would really love to see WWE get to the point where they introduce some big names. Like, yeah, Ricky Starks could go to the main roster, but NXT needs somebody up there alongside Trick and Pete Dunne and Ethan Page. And so I would have Ricky Starks go to NXT, keep him there for at least 6 months, and have him get called up to the main roster at some point. And by the way, Ricky Starks going to NXT would be a perfect way to gauge whether or not he will be ready for the main roster. I feel like NXT has prepared people a lot better for the main roster now than ever before. So Braun Breaker is a perfect example of this. Carmelo Hayes is a perfect example of this. I think it is very clear. We have gotten to the point where it's really clear, actually, that the call-ups from NXT to the main roster are more successful than ever before. So if you look at NXT these days compared to, I don't know, 2014, Adam Rose and Leo Kruger became Adam Rose, goes to the main roster, gets buried. I mean, there was just so many times where Vince McMahon would call up people, their characters get changed, the gimmicks get changed, their theme song gets changed, everything gets changed about them, their names get changed. They go to the main roster, they're just... The call-ups weren't good back then, but now there's like actual talent in NXT and there's like an actual synergy between NXT and the main roster. So I think if you really want to gauge whether or not Ricky Starks would be successful on the main roster, you have him go to NXT, have him dominate this new era. but it starts with NXT rebranding. Change up the logo a little bit. Give it a little bit more serious of a look. It is serious, but it still carries a little bit of that cartoonish vibe. I want to see something grungy and dark. That's what I want to see. And I want to see Ricky Starks at the top of the card, man. And that's not going to be easy for him to do on Raw or SmackDown right off the rip. So, Ricky Starks to NXT, I want to know what you guys think about that. But I do like that idea. And I love the idea of him going to NXT and dominating the CW because that's exactly what they need. Some very interesting stuff in the chat, by the way. I'm reading it. AG says, love the show, man. I just subscribed. You're really good. I go to you for my wrestling news. Appreciate you, my boy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the funnest stuff that we do on the channel, Monday through Friday. What up, Phil? Thanks for pulling up. Elizabeth Mendoza, thank you for stopping by as well. Guys, remember, if you want TTS, $5 or more. So the $4.99 will not trigger the super chats, unfortunately. It will not trigger the TTS super chat. But Darren Buss dropped a $4.99. He says, so I can see now why you love NXT now. I saw... Okay, I'm having a hard time trying to read your message. I'm not going to lie. So, I'm going to do my own little decipher of your super chat if you don't mind. Or if you want to clarify in another comment, I'm going to try to pay attention to that. The chat is moving fast. I've always loved NXT. I hated the presentation, and I hate the presentation of NXT. Okay, let's make that clear. I love NXT. I don't like the logo. I don't like the colors. To me, it feels very unserious. That's all it is. So my issue with NXT is just purely based on how it looks. It's better than NXT 2.0, but it's still not better than Black and Gold. I want to see NXT actually change up their color scheme as well. If you look at the CW, it's funny because they have the orange, but the CW was using like a greenish color. Like I don't know. I just want to see it a little bit differently. That's why. I just want to see NXT look a little bit more serious. I don't know. AEW has great branding for all of their shows. I think WWE has great branding for Raw and SmackDown. I think TNA Impact has great branding. There's just something about NXT's branding that's a little unserious. And for as good as the show is and the booking, it is kind of confusing to me, I guess. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't like the yellow. I don't like the orange. I don't like the gold. I don't know what they should make the colors, but I do think they should change it up. Appreciate you, Darren, for the super chat. All right, guys, here's what we're gonna do. Let's give a round of applause for Darren. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna grab a water, and we will go over any remaining super chats that we have. So keep in mind, $5 or more activates TTS. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Not a big deal. But if you guys haven't clicked like on the stream, I'd really appreciate it. Would mean the world. And when I get back from the break, we have a couple topics. We're going to talk about AEW Rampage. We are going to talk about an AEW debut that could very well be happening, and it's a big one. It's a legendary one. And we are going to talk a little bit about Dynamite before we get on the before they go on the air today. So do not go anywhere. I'm telling you guys, we'll be back in like a minute. Not even. I'm just going to grab a water, and yeah, BRB. And we're back. Thank you everybody for sticking around. I appreciate you so much. Man, this is interesting, super interesting. So what I want to do really quick, I want to give a shout out to all of our members. Let's give a shout out to all of our members in the chat: Cedric, Aaron, Mike, who else? I know I saw some more in here. Phil's in here. Todd is in here. Shout out to all of you guys. You know what? I think we should actually gift a membership. I think that would be kind of fun. How do I gift a membership? Let's see. I'm gonna try gifting a membership to one of our members because that just sounds fun. Doesn't it sound fun? Membership gifting. Okay, we're gonna gift one membership, and throughout time we might even sprinkle some more. Let's see who gets the membership. Laws was gifted a membership. It was automatic, so shout out to Laws. Appreciate that. Cool. So we got a new member. Shout out to Laws. I love the fact that YouTube just kind of automates it. So that's really cool. Appreciate you, Laws, for pulling up in the stream. Guys, thank you for supporting the show. If you guys want to become a member on your own, or if you want to gift a membership, you can do so as well. I saw somebody mention that the super chats don't give you an option for $5. So you just type in the amount that you want to do. You could literally just type in the amount. So if you just type in 500, that's how it does it. It's not by default, so you physically would have to do that. But nonetheless, you don't have to. Am I still doing the giveaway at 100K? Yes, absolutely. So if you guys aren't click subscribe, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, shame on you. Ain't nobody doing it like us. All right, with that being said, it is now time to turn our attention to AEW Rampage. There has been a lot of talk lately about the AEW TV deal. I talked about this on the main channel, here on the main channel. AEW's got the new TV deal done with Warner Bros. Discovery. They're no longer exclusive to Warner Bros. Discovery. And there is a lot of rumors. Keep in mind, these are rumors, chat. Okay? The rumor is that AEW Rampage is going bye-bye. And so, I want to talk about it. Now, let's talk about AEW Rampage. I'm going to tell you guys my issue with AEW Rampage and why I don't think it's a big deal if it is in fact canceled. On Friday, September 6, 2024, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, the show averaged 233,000 viewers. Okay? The episode before that, 218,000 viewers. For the quarter 2 of 2024, the average for the show was anywhere between 270,000. And in 2023, it was 370,000. It was down 27%. Okay, last year, September 2023, AEW Rampage averaged 359,000 viewers. This month, their average is 233,000 viewers, down 35%. There is a decrease in interest in AEW Rampage. Now, I am not one to talk about ratings all the time, but it's important that we talk about ratings here. AEW Collision aired on TNT immediately before Rampage, and they pulled in 157,000 viewers. Rampage was followed by the Countdown show for All Out, which averaged 119,000 viewers. I think it is safe to say that AEW does not have significant interest in their product outside of Dynamite. These are not numbers that I have made up, by the way. These numbers came directly from WrestleNomics. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics is always providing great insight on viewership numbers, quarterly, year over year, week over week. Guys, the reality is that AEW Rampage is like dead in the water. AEW Rampage does not place any significance for AEW. Rampage being canceled is not a big deal for AEW. In fact, I've been keen on saying this consistently. AEW Rampage is nothing more than content for AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery. The idea that AEW Rampage could be going bye-bye is actually not a bad thing at all. But it would be really, really important that whatever AEW Shockwave is, the vision for that show needs to clearly be different than what it is for Rampage, Collision, because those two shows, they have lost their steam. Every episode of Collision ever since the departure of CM Punk has been nearly meaningless. It doesn't have any significant weight in the grand spectrum of things. Dynamite all year has been pretty awesome to watch. I can't say the same for Collision or Rampage. And so I think Rampage going away is actually a good thing for AEW. The problem is pre-taped wrestling sucks. And I've said this a lot. As much as I love TNA, TNA needs to go live. I do not like pre-taped wrestling. I don't like it when WWE has to pre-tape an episode of SmackDown or Raw, by the way. Pre-taped wrestling is not enjoyable.
David Primera super chatted $9.99. Do you think NXT should change their stage set and log since they're moving to CW? How about their belts? I think the NXT title and women's title need to be changed back to gold to make it look top prize.
David Primero dropping the $9.99 super chat. Let's answer this really quick. Yes, I do agree. I think NXT should change their stage. I think they should change their colors. I do think they should rebrand the belts. I think NXT needs to look a little bit more serious. Like 100%, I think they need to look a little bit more serious. I think NXT has the most consistent booking out of any wrestling show. I think everything is well balanced. I think the physical show itself is good. Great, actually. I don't like NXT's presentation visually. I don't care for the logo. I don't care for the yellow and orange brush strokes, the match graphics, the lower third graphics. I don't like it. I think the title belts need to be completely changed. Completely. Minus the North American Championship. The North American Championship I'm not too worried about. I mean, if I were the WWE, I probably would just change all the designs. The tag team title belts have not been refreshed. So yeah, David, I think they should change their set. I think they should change the overall visual presentation of their product. Visually and physically. Both. But do not change away. Do not go away from the way that they're booking shows, writing shows, doing matches and stuff like that. It just needs to look a little bit more serious. That's how I look at it. David Primero. Thank you for the $9.99 super chat. I appreciate you greatly. Let's talk more about Rampage. I think Rampage has gotten to a point where the show is stale. The show lost its vision. The show doesn't have an identity. The same thing happened to Collision. After CM Punk left, I think it was very clear that Collision lost everything it was supposed to be. I am extremely worried about AEW doing the same mistake with AEW Shockwave. And I know it's sometimes a little bit more irresponsible to judge something before something happens. I'm not dumb. I know you got to give things a chance. But at one point, there was a time where I truly enjoyed watching Rampage. There was a time where I truly enjoyed watching Collision. Both of those two shows don't do anything for me. I figured out the issue. First of all, the time slots suck for both of the shows. I don't like the idea of Collision being on Saturdays, and I sure as hell don't like the idea of Rampage being on at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. For some reason, people give me shit on social media when I say this, but unless it's a pay-per-view, I don't really want to be watching wrestling at 10 p.m. on a Friday night or a Saturday night or anything like that. And it's not just because I have a social life. It's not because I'm going out and enjoying my life. But I think I've become so accustomed to, like, I don't want to have to choose between what I want to watch or what I want to do, right? Like on a Monday night, if I want to watch wrestling from 8 to 10 or Monday Night Football, it's cool because I don't have anything going on typically on a Monday night. If I want to watch NXT on a Tuesday night, it makes sense because what do I really have going on a Tuesday night? Same thing with Dynamite on a Wednesday. I don't even like SmackDown being on a Friday night. I've been saying SmackDown needs to move to Tuesdays. And I know it's hard because Tony Khan doesn't want to compete with the NFL, but holy shit, bro. If you're going to have 3 or 4 shows, it's inevitable at some point you're going to compete with the NFL. It's just the way it is. But if Tony Khan can launch AEW Shockwave and it's a 1-hour time slot, do it on Tuesday. Do it on Tuesday. But I can tell you guys right now for certain, if AEW is launching new shows, whether it's on Fox Sports 1, Warner Bros, TNT, True TV, this and that, whatever it may be, I think what Tony Khan really needs to do is figure out a way to make these shows actually feel special. I'm tired of wrestling shows launching just for the sole purpose that they are content. And I think that's one of the big things too that like really angers me about WWE Speed. WWE Speed is a 2-3 minute match on Twitter every single Wednesday, and they're getting paid a lot of money to do it, and that's fine. But for WWE and for Twitter, it's just content. It doesn't scream importance to me. I don't care to go on Twitter and watch a wrestling match on Wednesdays. I can go on Twitter on Thursday and watch it. I want my wrestling shows to feel important if I'm going to watch it. Rampage never felt important. It never did. And by the way, people agree because when you go and watch, if you go and watch these people, by the way, just pay attention to this. If you see people going to a Collision taping and Rampage is being taped right after, people don't stay for Rampage. Same thing when people are going after Dynamite. I was there in Detroit when they were taping Rampage after and people were leaving. They're like, we just don't care. So yeah, I don't think Rampage really has any significance in AEW. It's not going to shock me if they're being canceled. I do think Shockwave, if it's going to be pre-taped, they need to do it in a way where it has its own identity and completely different from the way AEW does their shows. It has to have a different stage from Dynamite. Like, you really have to differentiate these shows, and you got to make them feel important. And I don't know if I have faith in that. So I want to give them a chance. I want to be hopeful. I want to be positive. I'm not as excited about it because I feel like I got excited for Collision for no reason. After like 6 episodes, it basically became the thing I don't care to watch anymore. And I think the time slot had a lot to do with that as well, because initially I wasn't a fan of the time slot. But at least if I watched it on a Saturday night and I chose not to go out, or I chose to go out after the show, to me it was like, at least the show was good. But Collision lost its vision. Collision lost its identity. Rampage lost its vision and lost its identity. I don't know why this is so difficult for AEW. Have 2 really big shows. Make Ring of Honor your developmental. I feel like that is the easiest thing you can do. And it's shocking to me that they don't do that. It's shocking. Super shocking. I don't know. Be the alternative to WWE. But at that part, you should copy the WWE for sure. But a 1-hour pre-taped show, replacing one pre-taped show that's an hour long with another one that's an hour long, and then maybe just having a different TV partner for it, doesn't tell me anything of importance. And that's what I don't like. The last thing I want to talk about on today's live stream, my friends, is the potential debut of a legend coming to AEW. Super excited about this possibility because we can criticize AEW all we want. But if there's one thing that AEW has done really, really well with as a company since day one, and I will argue this every time, I absolutely love the fact that AEW knows how to book legends. Adam Copeland was talking about this on AMNY, which for those of you who don't know what that is AM New York Metro. It's a website, whole bunch of stuff, sports betting, stuff happening in New York, whatever. Dean Moses of AMNY was speaking with Adam Copeland, and he was asked if he would ever team up with his wife, Beth Phoenix, in AEW. And he says he would love to. He also shares that he has some other ideas with Beth Phoenix as well. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit about AEW and maybe how they could benefit from this. He would like to work with her, and he's revealed that they have started discussing this idea of opening up a wrestling school. So not only is it a possibility that maybe he would be willing to bring Beth Phoenix to AEW and they'd be able to work together, but there is also the possibility of Adam Copeland opening up a wrestling school with Beth Phoenix. Now, let's talk about this. AEW does not have a developmental performance center, which is fine. They don't need one. But it's no secret that a lot of their talent have wrestling schools. Don't forget the Nightmare Factory still exists. Don't forget about that. Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall. They know a thing or two about wrestling schools. Let's not forget about FTR being considered very good trainers. Let's not forget about this idea that maybe AEW could bring in Beth Phoenix, utilize her as an on-screen character in a certain capacity, right? First and foremost, that could be a good thing from an on-screen perspective. But the second thing is they have a women's division that is completely growing. They have Madison Rayne in the company, who is pretty instrumental backstage. Why not bring in Beth Phoenix and have her become pretty instrumental backstage? Why not get to the point where you build a super team of women veterans who are backstage who could be helpful? Why not do that? And then if Adam Copeland and Beth Phoenix want to launch a wrestling school, use that wrestling school to train AEW talent or indie wrestlers who are being scouted by AEW. Why not use this as an opportunity to build the future of your company? Adam Copeland has a relationship with FTR. Why not have AEW do this? A lot of people could benefit from that. A lot of people could benefit from that. I genuinely believe a lot of people could benefit from that. And I think with AEW, if you don't open up a performance center, but you have veterans like this who are opening up wrestling schools, compensate them a little bit. You know, work with them, create a system that is unique to AEW, because WWE has the performance center. WWE says, look, you're going to join the performance center. We're going to pay you a little bit of money. You're going to work out here. We're going to teach you everything you need to know before we put you on TV, that type of thing, right? But if you're AEW and Beth Phoenix joins the company, she's going to be a on-screen character sometimes. She might have a couple matches here and there, but then she's going to be backstage being an influence on the women's division. That's a massive win. Massive win. And so if you're AEW, how don't you look at that as an opportunity to say, listen, instead of building a performance center, instead of building a developmental system, our vets, we're going to give you money. We're going to help compensate you for your time to develop people. And that could be a really good thing. And so, like, if you look at the women's division, for example, and you look at all these women that they have signed, there's a lot of people not being utilized. They're not prominently used on TV. Serena Deeb, Mercedes Martinez, both of them incredible veterans, right? I think there could be a better way of developing talent. That's how I look at it. There could be a better way of developing talent, and I think the way to do that is by bringing in veterans. And the cool thing about Beth Phoenix coming to AEW and Adam Copeland talking about this, Beth Phoenix is so good already as is that I think Beth Phoenix would go in there and have some big matches. You want to have Beth Phoenix and Mercedes, you can do that. You want to have Beth Phoenix and you know, Athena from Ring of Honor, you can do that. Jamie Hayter, you can do that. Hikaru Shida, you could do that. I want to see AEW get to the point where they really figure out how to create new stars. I'm sorry, maybe this is not a popular opinion. Maybe this is not an opinion that everybody agrees with, but I do believe that this is one of the areas where AEW needs to improve. It doesn't need to be exactly like the WWE Performance Center at all. But I find it really cool if they were to bring in talent, especially when Adam Copeland's talking about doing like a wrestling school. Like, dude, this is crazy. The amount of benefit that you would get from it's amazing. So I don't know. That's something I've been toying with. It's the idea of like, hey, you bring somebody in, you utilize them a little bit for TV, right? It's not like Beth Phoenix is going to be wrestling every single week. That's completely fine. But if you have Beth Phoenix on TV this week, but behind the scenes, she's more than just an agent, right? She's more than just a producer. Like, she would be an instrumental factor in helping develop some of the talent prior to their debut. You know, people get injured, they get taken off TV in AEW. The cool thing is, hey, go to Adam Copeland and Beth Phoenix's wrestling school, get out of ring rust, go train there for a little bit. Tony Khan's got the money to do something like this. I feel like it could work very beneficial. It could be very beneficial for them. You know, look at what they have with the Nightmare Factory and all the people that went to the Nightmare Factory. There was a lot of people who benefited from going there. Replicate that process maybe 2 or 3 times. Yes, you get a talent contract, but then you also get a development coach contract where you become a coach for AEW. Mind you, they have Jerry Lynn, Paul White, and so many others. I don't know. It's intriguing. I think Beth Phoenix comes to AEW. We know she's not with WWE. This is a way to bring her in. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. How would you not want to learn from Beth Phoenix, right? We did get a couple super chats, so let's read them. And then we will call it a stream. So Superman Bass Fisher dropped a 369 super chat. The thing is that AEW and WWE don't have a choice of what night they're on. USA has openings on Friday, so they got SmackDown. Yeah, I actually have a very strong feeling that NXT and SmackDown will be moving at some point, different time slots. USA Network and all these companies, I can certainly tell you that they would be willing to be flexible with time slots because wrestling is live versus, you know, some reality TV show or something like that.
Darren Buss super chatted $9.99. At Dynamite, what should happen on tonight's show following the PPV?
Okay, great question by Darren Buss for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Darren. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Tony Khan's Twitter. We're going to see if he made any more announcements. But we know Sammy Guevara is taking on Ricochet. Obviously, Tony Khan wants 2 high flyers. So Ricochet versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is going to eat the pin probably. I think that's really easy to predict. Ricochet needs another random wrestling match because, of course, they're trying to build Ricochet and Will Ospreay for Grand Slam. I think that is very clear. I think that is a very big possibility. Ricochet is going to go over Sammy Guevara. We're going to get a follow-up between Ricochet and Will Ospreay. Maybe they'll make it official for Grand Slam. The other thing that Tony Khan announced for today is the Tag Team Casino Gauntlet match. The winners will fight the Young Bucks at AEW Grand Slam. I think JD from New York had a great opinion on this, which is another match or another feud for Young Bucks where basically there's no heat. Tag Team Casino Gauntlet match. I like the gauntlet matches. I sort of I have no idea how it's going to work for the tag team division. I'll give it a chance. I want to see what they do here. What do I think should happen? I mean, ideally, if Motor City Machine Guns are signed with AEW, they should be debuting here and probably winning the match, to be honest. But no plans for a surprise, at least at this point. Nothing's teased. The only other thing advertised for today is Dynamite. Jon Moxley will be speaking live. Obviously, we saw him pretty much try to unalive Bryan Danielson. So I want to see some follow-up to that. I want to see why. I want to see what they're doing. And I want to see more members join the new BCC. Is it Shane McMahon? I don't know. Is Bryan Danielson going to be in attendance? I don't know. But this is something I'm looking forward to. Again, AEW used to tell you guys about matches 3 weeks ahead of time. Now Tony Khan does not do that. There hasn't been much announced for tonight's show. I don't know if I should be worried or not. Also, to be fair, I'm sure a lot of wrestlers aren't cleared after All Out. But how you follow up a pay-per-view is so important. So I can only hope that Tony Khan has it all figured out. I can only hope so. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Darren Buss, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Superman Bass Fisher, thank you for your super chat as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for stopping by. I thought today was an excellent show. A lot of great things in NXT, a lot of great things happening in wrestling. Appreciate you all pulling up in the chat. Everybody that dropped a super chat. Give yourself a round of applause. We'll be live tomorrow to talk AEW Dynamite. And, oh, that's cool. You guys like the sound effect? I don't. Okay, anyways, yeah, we'll be live tomorrow talking AEW Dynamite. And, you know, there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff that we discuss. And, yeah, man, I'm super excited about Dynamite tonight. How they follow up with All Out matters. Will it be good? Will it be bad? I don't know. I'll be the judge of that. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's show.